topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Hi, this is Shelby Wagner. Welcome to my show, Learning to Dance in the Rain. I'm also an author of a book with that same title, and I would like you to take a look at it on Amazon.com and maybe purchase it for that would help out a lot, but keeping this show going. My mission is to share important information to listeners and that will help you to deal with the tough things in your life, or maybe even avoid some of them, such as scams. And getting there is what our topic is about today. It said pig butchering. Well, one of my friends asked me a few days ago, Shelby, what's pig butchering? I said, I guess you better listen to my show. Pig butchering. Can you imagine? That is the title that is now used in reference to the crime of cyber currency scams. Now, cyber currency scams, what are they? And why is it called pig butchering? And darn it, it defines the crime very well. And I understand how they came to that word. And I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. But I'll tell you something, I'm a victim of this crime also. And I sure don't like to think of myself as a part of pig butchering, but I guess I was. It's called pig butchering because the whole investment scam is set up by organized criminals in the southeast of Asia, Thailand, basically. Well, not Thailand, but the name of it, a smaller place that's near Thailand. But anyway, the Japanese talked about this kind of crime and that it was similar to pig butchering. And so that's how we took, they had a Japanese word, and that's what they were using. So translated, that word that Japanese and Chinese were using means pig butchering, and that's what this is. And you know what? Almost every victim that of this particular crime who contacts the department, the new Shamrock Committee of people that are trying to help victims with their after effects of these crimes, and also trying to find more about the crimes and find the criminals and prosecute them. This one lady said, she says, I had a call the other day, and she says, when that person said she was a victim and she started telling me what happened, it was exactly the same. I could have told her. I said, she says, I could have told her what happened, because it follows a pattern. It follows a pattern. First of all, I'm going to talk about this Chinese couple from Woodbridge, Illinois. And because they have agreed to spread their story to help others avoid becoming a victim of this crime. It says crypto scams continue to rip off retail investors on a daily basis. And here's a story of this Chinese couple. who were trying to make some extra money to pay for their son's wedding. And they are now in danger of losing their house even after being ensnared in this multinational crypto scam. It's a complex scam that starts out a couple different ways, several different ways. One of them is just a simple text or a message um, on your phone from a stranger. It could be just um, text saying, "Hi, how are you?" And if you respond, they've got your number and they know that that's a live number, and anybody can use it because it spreads throughout out the criminal nation like wildfire. But anyway, the others it does is a romance scam. And in my case, it was someone on LinkedIn that I met. And so if you respond, they will want to, or maybe you will. If they would sound very nice. And so, oh, yeah, sure, let's talk. And so you chat with this person, and over the days and the weeks that follow, you might um, you become friends. You start trusting this person. It feels like you know them. I mean, you talk to them maybe every day, maybe several times a day. And in my case, with the romance scams, they just butter you up. You're beautiful. I love talking to you. You're encouraged. They encourage you, and if you are a lonely person, or if you're single, well, it just seems like they're right there beside you. I'm talking to you right now, aren't I? And only then a conversation, they're talking back to you. But um, anyway, they establish a friendship with you, and they're experts at it. They are professionals, and they have um, trapped professional people, executives. Um, I was a teacher. I had a master's degree. Um, so was educated. I knew better. My kids warned me before I went on the dating site about scams. And who would have thought that LinkedIn, uh, this would happen? Um, I get a lot of messages wanting to help me promote my book or improve my website and that. I can't remember what this man did, uh, wanted to do, but he was an interior decorator designer, he claimed, and I didn't even need it. That wasn't anything I was looking for. But there was something there about this friendly younger man, and he was lonely, supposedly in Texas. And so, anyway, in this Chinese couple, they wanted to find some extra funds to pay for this wedding for their son. In my case, I wanted to find some money to help me pay for my books, publishing, and all the marketing that I did. I overspent, and I thought, oh, maybe this would help me. I'm retired, right? I'm living on Social Security and my teacher's pension, so I could use some extra money. And this investment sounded really good. Um, and in my, not only the case of the Chinese couple, but in my own case, we set up an account with an investment company, um, and I got reports. I could go right on my computer and see my record at this investment company and how much my money was making. And that's what they said here too. Um, the balance starts to increase, and wow, it gets exciting when you're investing in stocks, doesn't it? Well, it does when you're investing in bitcoins too, and you think you're going to be okay, and you're going to be able to pay off that debt or that student loan or whatever it is. But somewhere along the line, after they've gotten you to invest your money and prove to you that your money is making money, then the conversation that was a friendship, more getting acquainted and so on, becomes more like transactional thing. It's always about the money and always about more money needs to be in there. In the case of the a Chinese couple, he invested more than $1 million. Oh my. And it was their life savings plus their line of credit for on their home. And it was all there, but they watched it all disappear when they started getting some red flags. Well, this doesn't seem, my case, I wanted to withdraw some money. My money had doubled. And oh boy, was I sad. My money had doubled. And I wanted to withdraw the amounts that I had, to pay my home equity line of credit off. I could do that now. I had the money to do it. And you know what? They wouldn't let me. I had to do this or I had to do that. And those were things I didn't approve of them. So why would I do that? Why didn't you tell me this when I started that investing? I asked my friend um, before I invested this. And of course, he stopped talking to me after that. Never answered my question, but it's obvious he wanted to get the money. A lot of money is gone, Amos said. And with mine, there's no way of getting it back because mine would happen 3-4 years ago, and there was very little that the law enforcement people knew about uh, this kind of scam. And so I was just kind of patted on the back, and the bank closed my account. Um, and I had a month there uh, in which I had absolutely no money because my deposits had gone in for my Social Security and my pension, and they locked that account, and even I couldn't even get a penny out of my account for a month, and then finally they sent me a check. But luckily I am not in any well, I declared bankruptcy and chapter 13, and so I am paying a certain amount every month to pay off these credit cards that I used or gave to them, to the scammer to use, and he ran up all of them to the maximum credit that I had, and now so there was no I would lose my house if I didn't do that. So that's what I did. I'm not sure what this Chinese couple did, but they, they had very similar problem of what I and were in danger of losing their money. Now I have another story that was on the New York Times about. It's a headline says in one woman's mysterious drowning, signs of a national romance scam epidemic. And my book, Learning to Dance in the Rain, over here, if I can get my hand in the right place. But in my book, I said, this is becoming a pandemic because it's not just in America that it's happening. Yeah, it's becoming an epidemic here, but it is becoming epidemic in all of the other countries of the world also, where uh, they believe that people have it a lot of money, and they target seniors. They target um, lonely adults is what so the dating sites, the social media platforms, Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram, all of those you have the danger of running into someone that is not telling you the truth, someone who's lying to you. But I'll tell you what, you cannot tell uh, that. And this story here, a, a scammed victim, for some reason, we are almost being attacked because, well, maybe she was scorned and so therefore she's reporting this and she's not telling the truth. Or I don't know what all. Or you should have known better. Or you did know better, Shelby. And Shelby did know better. But that hope of making that extra money or earning that extra money. And so, anyway, some people have paid, in the case of this mysterious drowning, this woman lost her $1 million nest egg and sent it, it said, to a widowed healthcare executive on a path that ended with her death in the Mississippi River, hundreds of miles from her Western Illinois home. And he called himself Frank Borg. Now, I've had a lot of, uh, I've talked to a lot of people on social media and dating sites and so on. And I can understand exactly what this poor woman did. Lucky for me, I stopped before it went that far. But it says Frank drew Laura into a relationship after she connected to his profile on a popular dating website, Match.com. Over months of Getty cell phone calls and in hundreds of Florida emails, Frank manipulated her by drawing on public posted details of her life to forge a bond, and then induced her to invest with his online trading firm. As her skepticism grew and love waned, he strong armed her into helping him dip his hands into the accounts of other people and other victims, I should say. Her daughter Kelly says she had all these buckets full in her life. My mom did. But there was one bucket that was missing. It was missing companionship. And that's ultimately where we're at now because of that. The increasingly common pattern, a modern spin that combines emotionally exploitive catfishing schemes with fast moving investment and crypto scams, serve as the leading edge of an epidemic of pernicious scams targeting users of dating apps and websites. And this all information is coming by Jim Axelrod, Sheena, Samu, Andy Blass, Matthew Mosk, Sari Aviv, and this was on the CBS News. And I'm not sure if it was in the New York Times. I have another one that was in the. Anyway, the U.S. Department of Justice and the FBI officials told CBS News there is a public account of the toll. More than 64,000 American victims were in 2023. But the law enforcement people say that the number is significantly really higher because there are so many people who are embarrassed that they have been victimized like this, and so they may be ashamed and they may be afraid to tell their friends. I know what before I wrote that book, Learning to Dance in the Rain, I thought to myself, do I really want people to know what I did? Oh, I felt so stupid. uh, I felt so gullible, I guess is more the word, because I always had a problem with saying no. uh, a lot of you probably share that problem, church. They need people to teach Sunday school. They need people to play the organ. They need people to prepare the bulletins. And they want on you to be on their committee to help them do whatever it is that their mission is at that time. So you get it kind of in a habit of saying, yeah, okay, I'll help, and you feel guilty if you say no. For some reason, I know that's a problem. Well, unfortunately, it transferred over into this scam. I think that um, scammers know this, you know, and they look for signs of, how do you get to them? Because I turned down a lot of it, uh, guys that asked me for money after, that I met on the dating site. And I felt smart about it because, oh, I know that's a scam. I know that's a scam. And so, um, yeah, um, so a lot of people don't report this. And so if they say 64,000 American victims in 2023 alone, if you take that times how many years since 2005 when this whole thing kind of started? So 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then you multiply it by 60,000. If that is what was going on, probably not quite that many, but multiply it, you're going to get, well, if let's say it was 10 years, that's 6,400,000 people that have donated. And I use that word because when I've talked to a lot of people in real life, telling them about my story and so on. And a person will say, well, yeah, I gave some money. I gave $50 because this one, the woman was pretty and she was poor. She needed some money, so I gave it to her. It's a donation. So I wasn't scammed. And I said, well, excuse me, but if a stranger on the internet asks you for money, it's a scam. I don't care how much or how little you donate, but it is still a scam. And you need to know that. You need to tell others about it. Because if you're going to give donations, give your donations to the Red Cross, give the donation to your church or the people in your congregation who need it. Don't give it to someone who is in a foreign country or someone from a foreign country that's here. Don't give it to somebody that you have only met on the internet and have never met them in person, especially. So you're going to lose money. And here's a woman who lost her life. Who knows how exactly, except that her body was found in the river on some logs. And says they should not feel embarrassed. We shouldn't, because if you're standing somewhere outside and someone attacks you and you give them money, does the public blame you? Does your family blame you for that? That you were walking down the street and somebody attacked you and wanted money and no, you're not blamed for that. You're not to blame for this either. You were manipulated by a professional person who's been trained to they train people on how to get to another person and get them to release their money and give it to you. I don't know how that can be, but I know it for an absolute fact. That is what happens. Also, here's another thing that it says in this article. They should not be embarrassed or ashamed. These are sophisticated fraudsters who are preying on the human desire for affection and are in financial need somewhere too. It's not just about love, it's also about needing money. And how many people, most, a lot of people need some extra money. I mean, a lot of people live day to day on their income, but you know, this month right now that's ending, I even myself, I was getting strapped. I was down to $75 in my checking account. I had a week to go before my paycheck. My Social Security check was going to be deposited. And I tell you, did I fill up my gas tank when it got down to about a fourth of a tank? You bet I did not. I stayed home. I didn't drive as much as I normally do or go as much as I normally would go. And always I had second thoughts. Remember? And then I might start to buy something. Um, I bought 20 bricks for 75 cents a piece to put around my new rose bush that I buried out in the yard. Well, it wasn't enough, and I mean, it only came to $13. Okay, well, I had 100 at that time in the checking account, so okay, I bought 21, 20 bricks. I laid them down in my circle, and was that enough? No, it wasn't. I counted up, I need at least 11 more. Well, that's not very much money. 11% discount in the Menards, actually. So, but would have to drive over there, hmm, use my gas. Maybe something else would come into my account that I'd forgotten to pay. And so, no, I didn't go and buy those other 11 bricks yet. So my circle's only half filled. But, you know, we live, what, paycheck to paycheck, you might say. How many of you out there do too? I know. I do, especially since I'm paying for this bankruptcy. I said, I'll be paying for that darn fraud that person did to me for another year and a half. And every time I make the payment, guess what I remember? Yeah, my mistake. My mistake. I was manipulated. And you know what it said in 2019? Let's see, the financial toll of losses has swelled. From 2019, the losses were 500 million, this article said, and it was $1.4 billion in 2023, just last year. Wow. And I saw somewhere that they expect by 2024, I think, the end of 2025, that toll will be probably closer to $10 billion. And it's going to keep climbing unless we do something. And what are we going to do? Well, right now, Operation Shamrock is out there. That's a group that was started by a deputy prosecutor in California. Uh, and she has been traveling the world this past year, talking to law enforcement people, banking executives, finance investors, etc., to get these experts to understand this problem um, of pig butchering. So, how many of you out there are also a victim of pig butchering? Maybe you are in the beginning stages of it, where someone is learning, getting you to trust them so that they can ask for the money in a little while. How can you tell? In my book, I have 38 ways or 38 red flags that are warning signs that some of them tell you immediately you're talking to a romance scammer. And that is the one that if they ask you for money, no matter whether it's a wire transfer, as it used to be, or a gift card transferred to them, or now it's Bitcoins they're wanting. Oh, I was so embarrassed to go to the gas station and go over there to this machine that looked similar to an ATM machine and feed it dollar bills, sending it to someone who said he was in England. But I found I wasn't. It was really in Nigeria. Doesn't matter where they are. It's going to be tragic, traumatic experience to lose a lot of money, which is involved in this criminal pig butchering estate. Anyway, getting back to the Shamrock, Operation Shamrock. It started out with that one woman, deputy prosecutor, San Antonio, California. And I think there's the last count was that she had 1,200 people that are going to be a part of this group, and I'm included in that, to spread the word about this horrible crime and to help victims stop feeling blaming themselves. You know, that's another thing that I wanted to remind is that they're targeting also teenagers, and teenagers are spending their allowance, some of them, and they're losing their money. If they give their credit card, they're going to be in the same fix I'm in. Where are they going to get more money if they're not working yet? One of the big problems is sextortion, I've heard. And because they become friends with them, and they convince them to make a movie of themselves or a picture of themselves without the clothes on. And then when it gets down to it, asking for money, they have that evidence. Well, if you don't pay, we're going to send it to your high school, or we're going to put it on actually, I guess they put it on the internet. And then it becomes viral and everybody is going to see them. And there have been quite a few teenagers who have become so desperate that they have killed themselves. Suicide. How do we stop this? That's a good question. One of them is by telling others to I I got to show you this. Um, I took a class in which we had to find a hook, and I was practicing this hook. Let's see here. Stop feeding the criminals. And I was in line at McDonald's, waiting. I was in my car waiting to pick up my stuff, and I kept saying this thing that I had prepared, which wasn't this. And all of a sudden, came to me, stop feeding the animals. And I thought, where did that come from? And then as I thought about it, I thought, stop feeding the criminals is the message. These are criminals. And you're feeding them when you give them money, but They don't deserve that money. That's your money. You need it. You work hard for it. So why do you give it away? But if you think about, I could say stop giving your money away. But what do what happens when I say stop feeding the animals? Oh, I mean criminals. I don't know. Is it silly? Maybe some of you will think it's silly, but here I am, an elderly woman, and elderly people have memory losses. I'll start to tell some story, and then all of a sudden I forgot what the point was. What was I leading up to telling that story? So I have a senior moment. So I thought I can get away with that. Stop feeding the animals. I mean criminals. Yeah. Whatever it takes. I don't know. But the thing is sharing the message and telling other people, telling if you're a younger person, if you're under 50, guess what? You have parents who are being targeted for this. Maybe you are being targeted also or will be. I had a friend just last night called me, well, yesterday afternoon. And Shelby, he says, I just went through an incident. My computer locked up on me. I had just gotten off, I don't know, something, a website. And all of a sudden there was this warning that came out of his computer. Your computer has been hacked. You need to do this and that and whatever and call this number. Well, it was from Microsoft. Well, when you're working along in the computer or you're looking at things on the computer and all of a sudden your computer is locked and you can't do anything and you hear this message and you see this thing on your screen and it says don't delete this message because then you're going to I don't remember exactly what it said, but you're going to destroy your computer completely if you don't. Call this number instead and we'll help you to get rid of it. And so he was, I mean, I had this happen to me several years ago. And exactly the same thing. And Microsoft was warning me that my computer had been hacked and they needed to help me get it done. Well, I did exactly what my friend did yesterday. Well, no, I didn't. He called the number on that. I says, you didn't call that number, did you? Oh yeah, he says, I called it and they came into my computer and they fixed it. And it cost me $300. And I said to him, well, that's exactly what happened to me. And it was a scam, but I did not call that number. Instead, I looked for Microsoft. I think probably texted them or just sent them an email or something. And they immediately wrote back to me that our Microsoft does not contact you in any way for any reason that way. So it's a scam. So I, I almost felt like I had been scammed again because guess it brought back, my mistakes. And it's very easy to do that. It's very easy. I mean, it's easy. You just automatically do what you're told to do, or you're not thinking, or telephone calls. In my book, scams. There's phishing, there's telephone calls, there's emails, there's all 150 different kinds of scams. But and I'm having a little bit of a senior moment at them. Yeah, I'm working away on the computer. I'm reading a story, sitting in my chair. I'm out whatever, and the phone rings and I just forget my rule of not answering if I don't recognize the number. So I pick up my cell phone and I answer, and I hear this. Can you can you hear me now? Oh my! Well, number one, I have learned that if they're asking you or me to, you know, can you hear me okay? I or a question that, well, you automatically almost say yes to. Well, if you say yes to them, then they have permission to go on with their uh, sale, with their direct, to tell you all about whatever. Maybe it's a vacation rental, free. Oh, but you got to pay $200. Then you get it back on the end. Do you? Do you forget about it and don't even go on that vacation? So you spent that $200? Did you get involved in doing something else so you didn't go to that meeting you were supposed to go to? I don't know. It is that a scam? Well, you have to decide that on your own. They got your information if you say yes, because you probably gave them your credit card number, didn't you? Yeah. So Operation Shamrock is just one group, a growing group of people trying to spread the word about scams and don't feed the criminals. I have another one also, not just don't feed the criminals. I mean, that's what we're telling the everybody listening. Don't feed, don't give them money. Don't send them your money. Stop, stop feeding the criminals. Yeah, it's silly, but maybe you'll remember it. Maybe you'll share it. It's too bad that scammers aren't obvious to find them. This is a cartoon drawing of a burglar. The big smile on his face. And here was one of a woman, because are there women that are also criminals? You bet. There really is. And they are targeting, as I said, people that are lonely. And, that is also an epidemic, I think, because loneliness hurts. Loneliness kills. And you think you're getting out of it, out of the depression or whatever, when someone befriends you and talks to you a lot and seems to like you or love you or whatever. But here's another one. This one is for uh, younger people. The inheritance you save may be your own. So if you're 30 and you've got a parent that's 60 or 70, you need to have a talk with them, don't you? I mean, yeah, if they give their money and they have the right to give it to whomever they want, but if they give it away to a scammer, well, you're just not ever going to you definitely have lost your inheritance, because hopefully, if they've got their nest egg for retirement and whatever, hopefully you might get some of that when they die. But if they have, what happens when they're in bankruptcy because they got scammed? Um, and I guess I need to say another thing. I'm very strong-headed, strong-willed. And my kids told me, Mom, don't go on a dating site. You'll get scammed. But guess what? I went on a dating site and I did get scammed. How do you know if you're talking to a scammer? Well, they make promises and certain guarantees on websites, and the you never get the product if you buy it, or it comes in a cheap little. I wish I had one handy. Something that falls apart or doesn't work. Sometimes you get good things, but you've been scammed if it's not what you thought it was going to be. If someone phone calls you out of and pretends to be from, well, let's say Microsoft, um, hmm, it's better to wait a few minutes, hang up, call somebody that you know the number is right, ask them if this is true, and go from there. But you also know if they ask for wire transfers, they want you to go to Cash App or buy Bitcoins, or you know that. And they impersonate public figures. I've been talking to Liam Neeson on the line, sure. Yeah, he was sure. I've talked to several other celebrities, but then they get into the blackmailing you, or wanting ransom money, or they can delete your information from the internet. Anyway, call your FBI.gov, report it. I think there's an IC3. I have them in my book, Scams, and in my romance scam books. Um, Buy it. You need a copy of the red flags. You need to know to protect yourself and your family. All right, I've got to say goodbye for another time. Next week, July 2nd. Oh my goodness, it's going to be July pretty soon. Anyway, next week's topic is dancing with God. And my guest is Jerry Wright, the dance teacher, the ballroom dance teacher that I have. So I'm going to sign off now and hope you come back. Please tell people about my show. I need to increase my listeners. And I have a website, learningtodanceintherain.com, which has all my episodes in the past. I think this is number 28 this year. I just started in December, and there we are. But it's word of mouth that you have to spread the news and you tell your friend, hey, I saw that Learning to Dance in the Rain. And where they're trying to help people avoid becoming victims and losing their money and maybe even their lives. Definitely they lose their well-being, their feeling of well-being and being healthy, because it does bring depression. Anyway, I've got to say goodbye. I'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you. Bye.